What if the smallest coins in your pocket were hiding secrets worth millions? Ordinary-looking U.S. quarters from forgotten years have quietly turned into legends through rarity, survival, and mystery. One unnoticed mistake, one perfectly preserved coin, can unlock unimaginable wealth overnight. These coins don't shout their power, they whisper it. Ignore them, and you lose a fortune. Understand them, protect them, and a single coin could change your destiny forever. The year 1965 changed American coin history forever. It was the moment silver quietly disappeared from everyday pocket change, replaced by a cheaper metal to survive an economy under pressure. But in that single-year transition, something extraordinary happened. Mistakes were born. Coins meant for ordinary hands became rare survivors of a historic shift, and among them, the 1965 quarter dollar emerged as one of the most mysterious and hunted coins in U.S. history. What looks like common change to most people could, in rare cases, be a sleeping giant of value. Collectors whisper about 1965 quarters because they sit at the crossroads of old and new America. Before 1965, quarters were made of solid silver. Afterward, silver vanished. But during the chaotic changeover, a few coins were struck under unusual conditions: wrong metal, unusual pressure, or experimental preparation. These were never meant to exist. They slipped into circulation silently, unnoticed, waiting decades for someone with sharp eyes and patience to recognize their true identity. What makes a 1965 quarter potentially priceless is not age alone, but difference. Some rare examples carry the weight, shine, and sound of silver when they should not. Others display strange surfaces, deep mirror finishes, or razor-sharp details that suggest something went wrong or very right inside the mint. These coins are not valuable because of hype. They are valuable because they break the rules of their time. In the world of serious collectors, condition is everything. A normal 1965 quarter that has lived a hard life is worth face value, but one that survived untouched, protected from scratches, wherein human neglect enters another universe. Coins that appear frozen in time, with original luster and perfect details, become historical artifacts rather than money. When rarity meets flawless condition, value can rise dramatically. There are stories, real ones, of people discovering unusual quarters in old jars, inherited collections, or forgotten drawers. At first glance, they seemed ordinary. Only later, after careful inspection and expert confirmation, did their true nature reveal itself. These discoveries are rare, but they are exactly why collectors never stop searching. Coin history rewards patience, not luck. The idea that a single quarter could be worth life-changing money comes from this combination of scarcity, mystery, and demand. Wealthy collectors compete fiercely for coins that should not exist. They are not buying metal. They are buying a moment in history that can never be repeated. When such coins appear at auction, prices can climb beyond expectations, driven by emotion as much as rarity. However, the greatest danger is ignorance. Many valuable coins are lost because people spend them without knowing what they hold. A rare 1965 quarter treated like pocket change loses its story forever. That is why knowledge matters. The power of a coin is not only in its metal, but in understanding its place in history. Coin history is full of silent winners, people who waited, studied, and refused to rush. The true value of a rare coin often reveals itself years later, when demand peaks and supply disappears. Those who sell too early trade legacy for convenience. Those who wait may hold something that grows beyond imagination. The 1965 quarter is not automatically worth millions, but some examples are worth far more than anyone ever expected. The line between ordinary and extraordinary is thin and often invisible. That is what makes coin collecting powerful. It turns everyday objects into hidden doors of history, wealth, and wonder. So if you ever hold a 1965 quarter, do not dismiss it. Look at it closely. Feel its weight. Listen to its sound. Because history has proven one thing again and again: the smallest coins sometimes carry the biggest destinies. And for the patient and informed, they can truly change a fortune overnight. The year 1972 did not arrive quietly in American coin history. It came at a time when the United States was experimenting, adjusting, and pushing its minting system harder than ever before. Quarters were being produced in enormous numbers to feed everyday commerce, and when pressure meets speed, unusual things are born. Hidden among millions of ordinary 1972 quarter dollars were coins that carried silent differences, differences invisible to careless eyes, but powerful enough to rewrite a person's destiny when recognized. Most people believe value comes only from age, but 1972 proves that belief wrong. This coin belongs to the modern era, yet its story is rooted in imperfection. When machines strike metal endlessly, tiny variations occur, misalignments, doubled impressions, unusual surfaces, or coins struck under abnormal conditions. These small deviations are not flaws to collectors. They are fingerprints of history, proof that a coin escaped uniformity and became unique. What turns a 1972 quarter into a legend is not that it exists, but that it exists differently. Some rare examples show unusual doubling in design elements. Others carry a depth and sharpness that feels almost unnatural for mass production. There are pieces that seem heavier in presence, stronger in detail, as if they were never meant to leave the mint floor. These are the coins that ignite obsession among elite collectors. Condition transforms curiosity into power. A worn coin tells a story of circulation, but a pristine coin tells a story of survival. A 1972 quarter preserved in near-perfect condition becomes a time capsule, untouched by decades of hands, pockets, and neglect. When rarity meets preservation, value multiplies not slowly but explosively. Collectors do not chase coins that look used. They chase coins that look immortal. Behind closed doors, serious collectors speak less about money and more about ownership. They want what others cannot have. When a rare 1972 quarter surfaces, especially one with unusual characteristics and extraordinary condition, it becomes a battlefield of desire. Auctions are not driven by logic alone. They are driven by pride, rivalry, and a hunger to possess something irreplaceable. That is where prices break expectations and numbers begin to feel unreal. The idea that a single quarter could carry unimaginable wealth is not fantasy. It is a result of scarcity meeting demand at the highest level. There are fewer true rarities, and there are wealthy collectors seeking them. That imbalance creates power. When a coin is confirmed as exceptional, its value no longer follows ordinary rules. It becomes an object of status, history, and long-term investment. Many valuable coins never announce themselves. They hide in old collections, forgotten boxes, or inherited jars where no one thinks to look closely. Some are spent unknowingly, lost forever to vending machines and cash registers. That is why knowledge is the real currency of coin history. Those who understand what they hold protect it. Those who do not release it too soon. A rare 1972 quarter should never be rushed into sale. The true mistake is not holding too long. It is selling too early. Coin history shows again and again that patience rewards those who wait for the right moment, the right buyer, and the right recognition. Value matures with time, and legendary coins reveal their strength slowly, not instantly. This is why collectors warn against underpricing what you do not fully understand. Once a rare coin leaves your hands, it rarely returns. The fortune it could have become travels with someone else. A single decision made in ignorance can erase generations of potential wealth. The 1972 quarter dollar reminds us that history does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers from inside ordinary metal. And for the person who listens, who studies, preserves, and respects what they hold, that whisper can become the sound of a life completely transformed, seemingly overnight. The year 1981 sits quietly in American coin history, often overlooked, often underestimated, yet filled with hidden tension beneath its ordinary appearance. By this time, quarters were no longer silver, no longer glamorous, and no longer expected to surprise anyone. They were made fast, in huge numbers, meant only to circulate and disappear into daily life. And that is precisely why the rare 1981 quarter carries such an unexpected power, because no one was watching closely. When a coin is born in an era of routine, mistakes become invisible. Machines work relentlessly, human oversight fades, and subtle variations slip through unnoticed. The 1981 quarter emerged during a time when speed mattered more than perfection. In that environment, coins were struck that did not fully follow the rules. Coins with unusual details, uncommon sharpness, strange textures, or striking characteristics that separated them silently from the rest of their kind. History teaches us that value is not created by intention, but by accident. The most desirable 1981 quarters were never planned to exist. They survived because they escaped damage, escaped circulation, and escaped attention. While millions of identical coins wore down in pockets and cash registers, a microscopic few remained untouched, preserved as if time simply ignored them. Condition is a dividing line between ordinary metal and extraordinary wealth. A war 1981 quarter tells a common story, but a perfectly preserved one tells a rare story of survival. Coins that retain their original surface, sharp edges, and untouched appearance become something more than money. They become artifacts. When collectors encounter such a coin, they do not see face value. They see scarcity frozen in metal. Collectors of the highest level do not chase age alone. They chase uniqueness. They chase coins that stand apart from mass production. When an exceptional 1981 quarter surfaces, one that looks different, feels different, and exists in remarkable condition, it creates instant tension in the collector world. Ownership becomes a competition, not a transaction. The idea that a modern-era quarter could reach astonishing values shocks most people, but coin history is built on surprises. Value is driven by demand, and demand is driven by obsession. When the supply of a particular rare coin is nearly non-existent and interest continues to grow, prices stop behaving logically. They rise not because of metal content, but because of desire. There are stories of people unknowingly spending rare coins because they believed modern means worthless. That assumption has destroyed fortunes. The most dangerous thing a person can do with a potentially rare coin is rush. Rushing turns possibility into regret. Once a coin leaves your hand, its future belongs to someone else. True wealth in coin collecting comes from restraint. The person who waits, who studies, and who preserves gains power over timing. A rare 1981 quarter held patiently gains strength as years pass. Collectors multiply and opportunities shrink. Time is not the enemy of rare coins. It is their greatest ally. What makes the 1981 quarter so fascinating is its disguise. It looks like nothing special. It hides in plain sight. That is why it survives unnoticed in drawers, jars, and forgotten collections. And that is exactly how history repeats itself. Quietly, unexpectedly, and powerfully. The 1981 quarter dollar reminds us that fortune does not always arrive wrapped in gold. Sometimes it arrives as a simple coin, dismissed by millions, waiting for one person who understands its silence. And for that person, what seemed like spare change can become a turning point, a moment where patience, knowledge, and history align to change a life overnight. The year 1984 appears ordinary in American coin history, almost invisible among louder, older legends. Quarters from this era were everywhere, passed hand to hand, dropped into vending machines, forgotten in drawers. No one expected surprises from a modern coin, and that expectation is precisely what allowed something powerful to slip through unnoticed. History often hides its most valuable secrets in years people stopped paying attention to. By 1984, the U.S. Mint was producing coins at enormous speed, driven by efficiency rather than perfection. When machines work endlessly, tiny irregularities are born. Most disappear into circulation, damaged beyond recognition, but a very small number survive untouched. Coins that carry subtle differences, unusual strength of detail, or striking characteristics that separate them silently from the crowd. These coins were never meant to be special, yet they became exactly that. What gives an exceptional 1984 quarter its legendary potential is contrast. It exists in an era where uniformity was a goal, making any deviation incredibly powerful. Collectors are not drawn to what is common. They are drawn to what refuses to blend in. A coin that looks sharper, cleaner, or simply different becomes a question mark. And collectors are addicted to questions. Condition is where imagination turns into reality. A circulated 1984 quarter is nothing more than change, but one that escaped wear, scratches, and time becomes something else entirely. Its surface tells a story of preservation, not use. Its edges remain bold. Its presence feels intentional. Coins like this are not just seen, they are felt, and that feeling is what drives obsession. In elite collecting circles, value is not discussed loudly. It grows quietly behind closed doors, where rarity is weighed against desire. When a rare modern coin, like an exceptional 1984 quarter, appears, it disrupts expectations. Collectors who already own everything suddenly want what they cannot easily obtain. Competition replaces logic, and logic is where price ceilings disappear. The idea of a quarter holding unimaginable wealth sounds impossible to most people because they confuse metal with meaning. The true worth of a coin is not measured in copper or nickel, but in scarcity combined with demand. When only a handful of extraordinary examples exist, and the number of serious collectors continues to grow, value no longer follows common sense. It follows hunger. Many fortunes are lost not through bad luck, but through haste. Coins of potential are often sold too quickly, spent unknowingly, or dismissed because they look ordinary. The most dangerous phrase in coin history is, "It's just a modern coin." That assumption has erased more future wealth than any market crash ever could. Patience is a silent force behind every legendary coin story. A rare 1984 quarter does not announce itself with instant riches. It matures. As years pass, fewer examples survive, knowledge spreads, and demand tightens. Time compresses supply, and compressed supply creates power. Those who wait inherit that power. What makes the 1984 quarter truly fascinating is its disguise. It hides among millions of identical coins, invisible to careless eyes. It does not shine loudly. It does not beg for attention. It waits. And history has shown that waiting coins often become the most dangerous ones. Dangerous to assumptions, to expectations, and to those who underestimate them. The 1984 quarter dollar reminds us that destiny does not always arrive wrapped in drama. Sometimes it arrives quietly, disguised as spare change, waiting for one person who understands that history does not shout. It whispers. And for the person who listens, preserves, and refuses to rush, that whisper can become a turning point powerful enough to change a fortune overnight. The year 1991 arrived quietly in American coin history, a time when no one believed modern coins could ever matter. Quarters were everywhere, treated as disposable objects with no future beyond parking meters and cash registers. Because expectations were so low, attention faded. And when attention fades, history finds room to hide. The 1991 quarter was born into that silence, unnoticed, underestimated, and therefore dangerously misunderstood. By this point, the U.S. Mint was producing coins at relentless speed. Precision was expected, but perfection was impossible. Machines struck metal endlessly, and in that repetition, subtle differences appeared. Some coins were pressed with unusual force, others with unexpected clarity, others under conditions that separated them quietly from the rest. These coins were never meant to stand out, yet they did, silently carrying the seeds of rarity. What makes certain 1991 quarters powerful is not how old they are, but how uncommon their existence truly is. When millions of identical coins are produced, even a tiny variation becomes massive in meaning. Collectors do not search for the average. They hunt for the exception. A coin that looks sharper, deeper, or somehow untouched becomes questioned, and questions are where value begins. Condition is where destiny changes. A circulated 1991 quarter is ordinary, but coin that survived untouched, protected from wear, scratches, and careless handling, enters another category entirely. Its surface remains alive, its details strong, its presence almost defiant. Such coins feel different in the hand, and experienced collectors trust that feeling more than numbers. In the upper levels of coin collecting, value is driven by desire, not logic. When a rare modern coin emerges in exceptional condition, it disrupts assumptions. Collectors who already possess historic silver and gold suddenly want something newer, something unexpected. The competition that follows is not about spending money. It is about ownership, status, and control over scarcity. The idea that a quarter from 1991 could carry unimaginable wealth shocks most people because they equate value with age. Coin history disagrees. Value comes from survival against odds. As time passes, most coins are damaged, lost, or destroyed. The few that remain flawless become increasingly powerful because supply shrinks while interest grows. Many potential fortunes vanish because of impatience. People sell too soon, spend unknowingly, or dismiss coins simply because they look modern. History shows that the biggest mistake is rushing. Once a rare coin leaves your possession, its future wealth belongs to someone else. The opportunity never returns the same way twice. True collectors understand timing. A rare 1991 quarter does not reach its full strength immediately. It matures quietly as years pass, knowledge spreads, and fewer examples remain. Time sharpens rarity. What seems modest today can become unstoppable tomorrow when demand finally catches up. What makes a 1991 quarter especially dangerous is its disguise. It hides perfectly among ordinary change. It does not announce itself. It waits, and history favors the patient. Many legendary coins were ignored for decades before revealing their power, and the 1991 quarter walks that same silent path. The 1991 quarter dollar reminds us that fortune does not always arrive wrapped in gold or silver. Sometimes it arrives as something ordinary, waiting for someone who understands that history moves quietly, and for the person who recognizes that silence, protects it, and refuses to rush. A single overlooked coin can become a turning point powerful enough to change a fortune almost overnight.